Oh my god.
What just happened?
We're about to find out. This is Fabi, the third highest rated chess player of all time, and his opponent, the fourth highest rated chess player of all time, Levon Aronian. This is a classic from round 5 of the St. Louis Blitz Chess Tournament. What an incredible finish, and it opens like this. They got 5 minutes each, plus some time added back, and surely you put the bishop somewhere sensible or get this knight out, but no. We get this little move, known as the Taylor variation, spelt with an ER, because it makes you want to go, ugh, brother, ugh. And after knight f6, the pawn is defended. Top-notch commentary as always. Centre attacked, and Fabi now stands well because he's got the advanced pawn. This one's a bit dead. Don't try this opening at home, or if you do, use Lotus Chess Right. Link in the description. I've talked about that one already. Now we get the explosive c4, and yes, it gains space and time against the knight, but it leaves you with this backwards little piggy. So the knight now springs into the game. How's Levon going to proceed? What would you play in this position here? And if I can guess the move, you've surely got to subscribe. G5, of course. Let's attack. But no, seriously, after castles, B4 is allowed. There was no clampdown. But Levon doesn't do it. For some reason, he doesn't want that structure. He plays pawn h3, and we've got to pause for this incredible story from Peter Svidler.
Alexander Khalifman once told me a story of them giving alternate simul with Anatoly Karpov. And at some point he noticed that Karpov, on every single board, when he comes to a board and h3 has not been played yet, he just plays h3 and moves on, leaving all kind of meaningful decisions to Khalif. And Khalif thought, okay, I will do something about it. And on a certain board where h3 hasn't been played yet, he played him h3 himself. And when he saw that board again, a3 was played.
Love that one. A6 is now played. Bishop e3. Levon whispering, stack my bishop, as the rooks now develop into the game, and this one hits the most pertinent diagonal. This looks weird, but it opens the eyes of the rook. Now the queen develops, does some nasty stuff down here, connects these guys. Again, you can push with that pawn, but the weird looking queen b3 is played. Now it attacks a pawn, but it's a poisoned pawn. If you ever take, your queen gets trapped. But still Fabi goes b6 just for the lols. Now we see the rook centralised here, and although we want this one to complete the rook tangle, it doesn't happen. We get this one, and it's looking to change the structure. Go to clamp down on the dark squares, sink a knight. This is a horrible structure for white. So we didn't see takes. Levon goes queen a4. You could now go knight d4. Look to shatter the structure, set up tension. Just a different game. Queen d6 played instead. Again, you can go b4. Force an exchange here, but instead, knight e4. Not the best, but Levon wants to keep it weird. How would you capture that one? Well done if you thought bishop. It's actually good to change the structure here and sink your teeth into this d4 square. The knights are actually better in this semi-closed position. Only one open file, and this bishop bear is soon going to be eliminated for black, right? Or for white, rather. This was the best move, but Fabi does this, and he's overlooked a tactical shot because there's pressure on the pawn. So Levon takes here. Hang on a minute. Yes, you've opened up the defense of the pawn from this attack from the knight, but this one's about to hop here, and then you're in a world of pain. This is what Levon's got planned. Rook d5. He whispers, do you even rook lift, bro? He's in great shape right now, and you could drop back and defend this pawn here, or you could take, except no, you couldn't. Terrible. You lose this one here, and black can't even take the pawn. White's doing great with the two minors against the rook. So this was best to defend, but Fabi tries this active move. So he does allow this, and he saves the c5 pawn. Levon didn't want to shatter his structure here, but now the rook gets super active. Obviously rook c5 was also tempting, but this is actually the best move. Going after this weak guy here, this could be on the way. Nice position for white. So Fabi looks for the counterplay, wants to get the D-man running, and if you blockade, this is instructive, you get hit with knight h5 coming here, and no g3, or else you can take here, or even crash through and rip open the king. There's then some amazing attacking lines featuring a rook lift. So not played, Levon sees it, drops back with the queen. You could still go for this plan, but instead we see this one, keeping an eye on this pawn, preparing knight h5 if bishop d3, so Levon takes here. And this was the trouble with this move. You give a pawn, you do get this one running. It's how the game proceeds. d2 is best, but Fabi holds off, goes a bit Magnus as he looks for the queen exchange, played, rook takes, but this endgame, after the centre's bolstered, is good for white. We see this exchange of prisoners, the game following a logical path, but white standing better because not only a pawn ahead, but these are split. They're under fire. Now we see this bishop back up to open the eyes of the rook. Pressure down the b file, blocked. Let's keep cracking on. This is a 100 move game. You could take with pawn or bishop, both good. Levon goes with the pawn because he wants to target this one. Clamp on the c pawn. Fabi brings the king around. Rook a4 targets and hands up if you're playing this move to defend. Now not only is it very passive, but you run into b4, no takes, or you're getting taken down here, and of course that is game over. Just drop us an apology down below if you would have defended this pawn here. No, I'm only joking, maybe you can write some lines instead. Now we see the knight drop back and the pawn is taken. Brutally lost position, black goes for the defensive octopus, but he's not even allowed that. Poor Fabi getting kicked from pillar to post, and of course now you want to go after this pawn. How about that for a classy move? Hit the 7th rank. Just checking you're still awake. Instead Levon goes this way. He goes after the pawn like this, king defends. He's taken 3 tempos to hit c6, but now he's after this one. We see the exchange of prisoners, and this is really instructive. First this to create the outside pass pawn, and then after this, Levon just has this instinctive understanding, 4th highest rated of all time, to go rook c6. Give up one of his doubled pawns, drag the king away from the action, understanding that he can create the outside passer, and he's got the better minor piece in this endgame. Bishops do well when there's pawns on both sides of the board, and this one, look at it go. Running down the board like prime Yasser Serwan. I mean, look at him there in his Hawaii tank top. What an absolute specimen. Rumour has it he could run round the track faster than Hans could complete 2 laps of the pool. Incredible stuff. We now see the king stepping around, pawn goes, king in, and now the bishop cuts that one off. There's some incredible stalemate ideas on the way. We're going to get to that. b5 is played, supported, fear not. Now we see the knight keep hopping around. Here we see Fabi humming away to House of Pain as he jumps around, and after the bishop's attacked, you do want to keep it on the board. Maintain the barrier. c6 is played, and we do see a blunder here, but it's so tricky. You'd love to glide on by, right, and then promote, but you run into a fork and lose the pawn. So, what if takes? We won't explore it. Played in the game. What you should do, far from obvious, is push, distract the king, and then step in. And because you win a tempo on the knight, there's no checks or whatever, you know, bishop's covering squares, it has to move, and then this guy takes and you're getting trousered. Too many things to deal with, right? So let's run back. The way to go, but missed as Levon takes. Look at the plummet over there of the eval baron. Now we see knight takes, and here's an instructive moment. What does black want to do? Well, give up knight for pawn, pawn for pawn, make a draw. Or even just give up one pawn for knight and run the king to the corner, because you've got the wrong bishop to promote this pawn. So we run it through now. These are some of the themes at play. Now we see the king stepping in. This one now could take here, but no, it doesn't work. The king can't get to the corner in time. If you step to take the pawn, it runs. What to do? You can't get over. Otherwise, this endgame would be a draw if you could magic here. So instead, we see the knight keep bouncing. We're going to keep running through. A lot of moves to be played. This was where I was going to show knight b3 apparently still drawing. This is now losing, but it's just nuts. They're on seconds, all sorts going on. The end game lines are just mad. I don't even understand them all. Takes too long to explore. Now Levon finally pushes, and he's going for this idea. Defending, hit the king, steps to the corner. Now let's note something. The king can't move. So all you have to do is give up this knight somehow. It's stalemate. So we see this now playing out on the board. The bishop comes in here. Check is played. Few more moves, right? There goes the knight. And surely you now step in with the king. I was exploring this. We're in the back cave. Didn't happen because of this move. Check. If you take, well, that's stalemate. If you don't take, you take here. And again, stalemate. Lovely stuff. So we come back. Levon goes for this awesome move. Let's process that a second. And after takes, not played, you'd be losing. Here's a sample line. So let's run back. In the game we saw this knight hop. Now the pawn taken gets rid of the stalemate traps. But look at this. After the king steps in and the bishop gets out the way, the f pawn is not actually promoting. Knight and king cover the dark squares. It's a drawn game. Let's keep playing it through because the bishop now dominates these knight jumps. Surely this is lost. You know, you jump with the knight, it gets taken, the pawn promotes. How do you save the game from here? Very well done. Not easy. The brilliant king h8. And you're sacrificing the knight. But if it's taken, again, that's some seriously stinky stalemate. So you can't actually take the knight. What to do? Levon goes here. And now another brilliancy. You know, the king can't move. Knight's got to go somewhere. There's only one square that draws. And it's knight g6. Why knight g6? Well, if you go to e6, now bishop takes and the king can escape. What's wrong with this one? Okay, just bishop takes, pawn goes through, make a little knight. No, just kidding. You make the queen, of course. So this is how the game goes, and we get some bouncing around. Fabi has found the ideas. He's done the hard part. He's found the technique. Excellent. Study like. Don't come to g6 now. Defend. The king gave you ground. Good stuff. Now we get to this position here. Knight f8. Bishop f5, another brilliancy. That's the third in about 10 moves. And after king e7, one of the best things about this position is look at the clock times. Fabi's getting a couple seconds back per move, so he's really built up a good amount of excrement, but that comes back to bite him. It's at this moment he has a serious brain fart. Now, to be fair, Hikaru's been vacationing there. Could be part of the problem also. He plays the move of knight g6 check. Takes is played. And Fabi resigns the game. Or was he offering a draw? Kind of weird. But no, he was resigning the game. That's it. Levon wins. You can step in now. No stalemate. Queen goes through. And there she blows. That's soon going to be mate.
He played knight 6 in the wrong position.
What? Oh no, he thought it was stalemate. He still has king g7.
So this was the final position. 101 moves. What a battle. And in case you missed the incredible Magnus and Hikaru game, have a look at the video on screen. And do check out Lotus Chess if you want to try any kind of funky openings like the Taylor that Levon played in this one. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon. Cheers.